Hey guys, welcome to the stream for tonight on day 33 of our devlog. And tonight I'm going to carry on with some stuff. I'm going to add a couple of things to our dialogue to make sure that our dialogue is working. Now, our NPCs have a different state, okay? And basically, it is idle when they are just wandering about, going to sleep when they are going to bed, sleeping when they are in bed, going to work when they're travelling to work, and working when they're at work. Now, those are the different states that we require the different dialogue for, okay? And this is what I've done in our talk widget. Okay, so we have a dialogue structure which feeds into our NPC dialogue. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of options, and it's not going to be for going to work, it's actually going to be at work for testing purposes tonight. So we're going to say, I hope there is a hearty meal when I return home from work. Okay. We're just going to add some basic text and we'll find out. So we've got, it's a long day here, I best get on with it. And we need another text for now. What we could do here actually, for a laugh, is use what we had the other day, right, which is chat GPT, and see what it comes up with. Okay, and if it comes up with something interesting for us, create a dialogue line for an NPC who is working Viking. That's actually not bad. I'm going to copy that and put it in. And then I'm going to do another one, because that's kind of fun. Right, so we'll add another one at work. We'll bring up our AI and we'll say regenerate. That's actually not bad either. So you can see here, guys, if you use this, right, you can actually get some reasonable responses. Right, and what we can do is we can do one for going to work. So we'll generate something here. So we'll paste that. Who is a Viking and on his way to work. Well, that's actually not a good one for us. That's not bad. It might not be actually make an awful lot of sense. It makes sense for the guy that's going fishing, right? But that gives me something to work off. I'll do one for I'll say on his way back home. The problem is they're coming up with lots of stuff for fishing, but in our story you can't right, they're all coming up with fishing. Well, we could have this part. Yeah, that sounds good. So we'll have some of that. These can obviously be refined. Okay. So now what we can do is we can test this. Right, so these guys are off to work. Right. I need to get rid of that going to work off the screen. Right, but you've seen that I hope there's a hearty meal. Right, but you can see it's given a random right, so that's cool. So you can see that that's working beautifully, and it's doing exactly what we want it to do. Right, but what we want to do also here is we wanted to stop printing out that stuff. Now I believe that is in the AI controller, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I may have added it might be on the NPC itself. So we can get rid of that event tick, and we can save that. Okay. And I think I'm going to have to start looking at our game instance, etc. for our character and save game, because I don't know exactly how our save game, etc. is working. I know we have some sort of save game, but I'm not 100% sure which things that we're saving or not. Okay, so I'm going to have to start having a look at that at some point. Now, the interesting question has to be, first of all, what game instance we're actually using here. Okay, so in our project settings, I'm pretty darn sure, right, we're using a BP Story Advanced game instance. Okay, now I'm not 100% sure what is in here. Right, now I had to change these alright, and it's streaming in the sub-levels. Right, but this is probably not what we want. Okay, but we may need this. And that is game levels, data table, role name, showroom. Okay. Now we've set up this data table slightly differently. We changed it around a bit to actually do that. The Greenland main and the sub levels, right? So we may need to do some easy save stuff. Okay. Now the question is, have I enabled EMS? And I'm not even sure if I need to actually add it, right? Because it basically it's an engine plugin, right? And if we go to our pawn, let's go to our pawn. Right, if we open a pawn, it would appear that we don't have it switched on. Right? So with that in mind, we need to actually, I believe we need to add the plugin. So let's do that. And if that doesn't work, right? Yeah, see, easy multi-save. It's not enabled. Restart now. Save selected. Okay, so I'm gonna have to start trying to remember how to use this easy save. Which is obviously awesome. And whether or not we're obviously gonna have to add it in some way to our streaming, right? So we close this down, and if we go back to our pawn now, we go to our class settings, right? Then EMS, active save interface. Okay. Now our next thing we need to do is probably go to our main menu, right? And we need to set it up from here. Now I'm going to have to refer back to a previous project. And we're going to have a look to see our main menu, and we're going to have a look at our graph because it's printing out some stuff. Right. So there's something somewhere in here that's doing a print string. Put it in quotes. Okay. It's not in there. It's not in there, although I do remember having a look at this stuff. It's not going to be in there. Now, this here, this widget allows for 3 different save games. Right, we've got fade in menu. We've got something on the event tick here. We could always just do a print. Yeah, well, it's not that. Or what we could do is X colon. Well, that's rather interesting. You know what it might be on? It might be on a player controller. But it's obviously going to be on our menu controller. Okay. And there it's there. Okay. So actually, I think I'll have a look at this later. Except for one thing. I want to have a look at load, right? Or in particular, not necessarily the load. It was actually the game instance, right? Now, if it is, it's going to be in here. Right? And it's game controller, game instance. Right, now, I want to know what it's doing with these levels and sub-levels, and how it's setting these up, right? Or whether it's, I'm sure it's not. Stream in sub-levels. Right, now the question is, what is it doing with us? Right, that's the question here. What is it doing with these sub-levels? Only show initially visible sub-levels. Right, so what I want to know is what is in here when we start the game. Right. And I don't know how this is exactly working, right? But do these automatically stream initially? Or what's the story? But what we'll do, right, is we'll click new game. We'll click here. Right, and now we've got this. So we've got sub-levels, which is our sub-level, and then the level to load is 0. And that gives us the level to load. Right, so that should be loading. Right. Zero. Stream in sub-levels. So it's recursive. Right. So it goes down to there. And sets this. Yeah, that's because it's a new game. We're not loading the game from the slot. And we get our thing. Right, now, let's try something. If we go back, right, this is getting the data table. Right, from the game levels. Okay, now we did have that open, but I think I've closed it again. It's not that. Right. Initialize block arrays, styles. Right. Now, where was that data table? I've lost the data table. Okay. We've lost maps. Okay, so data tables. Game settings. Game levels. Right. So main level name, all sub-levels. Right, so in theory, this should be that again, except we should have one. And we should have two. Or at least that's what my colleague told me. So now what I'm interested in is what happens now. And did I leave that breakpoint in? Okay. So if we press play, and we click new game here, right, it's going to go to here. And it says level to load 2. Now, I'm guessing we're going to get the same result. Okay, because I'm not 100% clear. Right, so it's compiling shaders. But it has done it. Okay, now I'm not 100% sure on the level streaming thing. Is not exactly my forte, and I'm just not sure what this has actually done, if indeed anything. Right, it has got persistent level, main. Okay. Right, I don't know why it's doing that, because this is obviously not the main menu. This is a cut screen. Oh, we're suddenly loading a heck of a lot more shaders. Now, it looks to me at this point that you're not going to have your held stuff at this point. You're not going to have a HUD. Right? So we're going to have to do something with that. Okay, so that's pointing you in the right direction, first of all. Right, and this is absolutely murdering. The stream probably as well, due to all the shaders being compiled, which is obviously not ideal at this particular stage. So my designer told me that he had started adding stuff, but it appears that he's actually added the wrong stuff. Right, or stuff that wasn't quite ready yet. And what I really want to do here right, we'll let this go and then I'm going to show you guys the first cut screen without the compiling shader stuff going on. Right, so we'll just have to wait a second or two. Right, do I go with that and let you guys see, or what do you think? Or do we leave it till our 63 shaders are complete? Let me know in the chat. Do I start it or do I wait for the shaders? Because I do want to see how the village is looking since the last time I saw it. Okay, we're still on 63. Come on. Do your shadery thing. Now, one of the things I do want to do, and I believe it's only doable in C++, is to do an actual loading screen where it, in a blueprint, it is basically very limited. Okay? Now, there is one, an async loading screen, which is available, but it's also quite limited. Okay? What I want is something that actually shows you the, you know, the loading of the level and not just kind of fabricating it. Because in this, the actual asset, one of the assets we're using in this, the one that you saw the loading screen for, it kind of pretends that it's actually an interactive loading screen that's doing something in the background, but it's not. It kind of just sets the progress at a value to give you the idea that it's loading fast, and then basically stops until it's actually loaded, right? Right, we're down to 43. 33. Now we could go, as I said, we could go with the async loading screen. And I suppose what we could do was make our own sort of widget that it shows. But that's really just a crutch, basically. Okay, so let's do it. We're on 33, but let's have a look at our... You can kind of bypass this by walking around the side of it. Oh, it's just went up to 311 again. Well, at least it's not skipping too badly. It might start doing it in a minute. Right. And this kind of gives you an idea of where to go for the first part. And a look at the first sort of village. Okay, and it now should take us back to the player. Right, and now we can actually move forward. And I don't know if it's the shaders or not, but her hair is bouncing all over the place. I think it's because we're running. Right, we're still on 238 shaders to go. think that needs a bit more weight. Right. So this kind of looks exactly like, well, I'm not expecting it to change very much, but as you can see, oh, right, so that's okay. So I'm guessing that's been set to auto activate, right? The particles, but you can see now that our temperature is going up. And we're at 20, right? And when we move out of here, we can, right, this is going to have a slightly different interface, but I want to see if there's anything actually being changed here. And it looks like the same items have been added rather than our interactive items. Right, so I'm going to have to speak to my colleague on that one. And yeah. I don't know why that little cube thing is popping up, unless that's the compiling shaders issue. There's that strange cube. Wonder what that is. Right, so this is all looking actually rather good. And my colleague must have added some code somewhere to the fire. Right, and some of these are obviously particles are set to, you know what it is? Now, because we've got kind of the same because we're sharing the same project, if he's added stuff to the editor, like settings, then it's very possible and plausible that it's shown, you know how it was showing the little capsules and stuff? So it would appear that that's showing up because of the settings in the level or something. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. Now, what I need to do now is the time, right, so the time is going far too fast. Okay, that is issue number 1. So we need to change that. So we're going to go, so it doesn't take too long to load, we're going to go back to our test map, and it's not in there, right? It's in the test map. We're going to check it out here, and it is in our, I believe it's in our dynamic sky. Okay. So where's the time? Time of day 8 AM. Animate time of day. Time speed. Right, so if I set that to 2 and press play, how fast does time go? Doubly as fast. Okay. So it's basically, I believe, it's this number divided by, well, no. That's 1 is a second, 2 is 2 seconds, so we want 0.5 of a second, right? And that will give us a minute every 2 seconds. Now even that might be too fast, right? And I'm going to say yes, it actually is. I'm going to say that we need a 0.2, so that gives us 1 minute every 5 seconds, right? Right, and now what we're going to have to do is do the multiplication on our hunger things. So I'm going to go into the pawn, right? And we're going to tie this speed to the hunger etc speed. Okay, so we're going to go into the pawn and on begin play we go to reset player. Okay, so we have a custom event called reset player. And we basically update HUD, right? And then we update main attributes, and this is running every 5 seconds. So this is running every 5 seconds, which is actually fine, right? Because that actually ties into our per seconds thing, right? But the problem is that this update main attributes is taking too many away. Right? So what we're going to have a look at is these should all be going down at the same speed, so I must be doing some calculation on each of the widgets that's basically making it slightly different, which I probably am. Right, but we should really actually fix that. And I believe we're doing that to an event dispatcher. Right. As you can see, and I believe all my widgets are tied to this. All my widgets are bound to this, so basically so this is the energy one. This is the hunger one. Right. That's when it's originally constructed. We bind it. And what we should really do is set these to 1. Right? Right, so we can save that. Temperature we don't really need to worry about too much. Water is going to be the same. And yeah. Well, actually, we're going to stop that. Now, did it? Yeah, it did. I was just making sure it all compiled. So now that we know that it's all compiled, we're going to hit run. And the most obvious one here is the energy. So whatever reason, right? When we're updating the stats, we must be doing something to energy. Okay. And we don't actually need to do this. What we actually need to do is call the thing that this does, right? So if we go into here, may update main stats, right? This is the weather factor. Right, that's why this one's going down so much. Right? So the question is, where is it? And where do we calculate it? I want to find references. So that's the get there. And the set is here. Right, so we figure out whether it's plus or minus. And if it's really cold, then it's going to go down faster. Right, and that's why our energy is going down a lot faster. Right? Which is fine. But you'll notice this is the thing we want to do. Right? We want to call on update stats. So we're going to go back to, we're going to copy this. Right? Then we're going to go back to here. and we're going to paste that. Okay. And then this should actually work better now. Yep. As you can see. Right. So this is still going down a lot faster. Right. But it actually looks to me like we're on the right track. With this, but we need to do, this is running every 5 seconds, right? But, well, I'm guessing this is going to be a suck it and see. If you think about it, it's 100. Okay, so if it's 100, then you've got multiplied by 5. So that will give you 500 seconds before basically everything will run out. Okay. So that's approximately, well, it's 480. So that's going to be 8 minutes. 8 minutes in game. Now the question is that enough? Or is that not enough? Right? That's the tricky question. That's the tricky question indeed. Right, now our next thing we want to do is check our clock. Right, because our clock doesn't update straight away. Which is obviously we want that updating straight away too. But I'm going to take a quick break first, guys. So I'll be back in 2 minutes. If you're enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe. It helps out the channel. And check out the description for my Discord, which is where I usually hang out when I'm not doing anything else on stream. You'll find links to my Patreon where you can support the channel and the content, and also my previous game on Steam. Even just checking any of them out helps a lot. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, we are back. Hopefully you guys have stuck around. And right, so we know how this is working. Now the thing is that this is all going to need balanced, right? Because at the end of the day, if you eat, right, it replaces, at the moment it replaces 20. Okay, now if you multiply 20 by 5, that's 100. So basically that's only going to give you 2 minutes, right? So yeah. Now what we maybe want to do here is do a calculation, right? Now we should have our dynamic sky thing, I believe. Right, because we do have our update main attributes, right, which comes from and this, right? So we can copy this, and the problem is I don't think this is the infinity weather, not dynamic sky. Right? So the question is, the time is done by dynamic sky, the weather is done by infinity weather, right? And we don't have a reference to our weather. Okay. It's in default category. So where is it? A variable type is that. It's called weather. So where is it? Right, it's going to be where we set it. We just get it here. So it must be a local variable. Right, okay. Okay, so that's all well and good. For the moment, that's all well and good. I might actually turn that into a reference and make it a variable here rather than a local. Right, but okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another variable. That's what I'm going to do, right? And we're going to call it dynamic sky. Right, and it's going to be dynamic sky, Okay. And we're going to go to our event begin play. Okay, and then we're going to go to our reset player. And we're going to say get all actors of class. Right. And it's going to be dynamic sky, ultra dynamic sky. And we're going to get a copy. Then we're going to drag in our dynamic sky variable and set it. Okay, except we're going to actually plug it in the right way. Right. So that's going to go like that. And then when we do update main attributes, or sorry, this is actually going to come after this. We're going to have to do this first. And this is actually going to be a job for tomorrow, I think. I'm going to redo a lot of this where we're setting up all the variables and references. Right, this really needs tidied up a good bit. And what we're going to be doing is going to be saying time well actually what we're going to do is we can compile that first so that we get the right references. Then I believe it's going to be under dynamic. Here we go. Right, so we've got day length, night, sunrise, time speed. Right. So basically we want to say this divided by, except we're going to plug that in there. We're going to delete that. We're going to say 1 divided by that. Well, actually, you know what? We can set that to 2, and that's going to give us our 10. Right, so that's going to give us 100 minutes. Right? So this is going to run every so you got 2 divided by 0.2, which gives us 10. This is going to run every 10 seconds. So if you've got 100 health, it's going to take 100 times 10, which is 1,000 seconds. And 1,000 seconds is quite a long time. Right, so if I press play, right, these should not go down very fast at all. Right, it should be once every actual 10 seconds. Right? But that still seems to be going pretty fast. Right. So let's stop that and let's see what that number actually is. Okay, so if we try this again, ten. That's exactly what I expected. So this should only be looping every 10 seconds. Right? Whereas our clocks should be updating every 5 seconds. Right? That sounds appropriate. Right, so if this is running, yep, okay, so every 2 seconds, or sorry, every 2 minutes on this clock, it's going to change. Which it is, right, because a minute on the clock is 5 seconds, right, but these are only updating every 10 seconds, okay? So basically every even number this is updating. Right, now it might look as if it's actually done quite a lot, but it's not really. That's only probably about 5%. Well, actually it should be 7% at this point. Right, for this one it's going to be 14. Right, but you'll notice now it's not going to be a problem. But what we need to do is our clock is not updating as soon as we draw it. So we need it to update immediately. Right? And you can see there we've got update HUD. Okay. Now the question is, where is update HUD. Okay. Switch camera. Set playing montage. Where is update HUD? Alright, that's something else. That's something else. Let's initialize camera. Right, wait a minute. I don't think update HUD actually exists. Right. I don't think this actually is required, because see if we come to here, I think this is part of the, yeah, or maybe not. Yeah, there's nothing there. Yeah. Right, so we're not going to worry too much about that. Right. What we want is for this to be updated. Right. So we're looking for update clock. Okay. So if we come back to here, and we do update clock, and get it to search. We need it to find and that's, it's doing it in the clock itself. Right, okay. So we just say update clock. Okay. So I'm gradually just fixing, I wasn't wanting to work on anything big tonight, I'm just working on tidying some stuff up. So now you'll notice that our time is now absolutely spot on when we start, rather than showing up zeros. This is all good. And now our timer starts. And now we get our little bit of stuff done there. Now, what I wanted to see is when the player, like this is, I'm saying a little bit of snow, right? If like a blizzard comes in where you can't actually see, right? I'm going to say that let's have 8,000 particles, right? Now you can see now that this is getting to be a bit of a blizzard. And what if I say 32,000? Now if I press play on this, right, what I want to see is at what point do we have a whiteout? Now I'm going to call that practically a whiteout. But what I want is, if the weather gets this bad, then basically your compass practically disappears. Right? Swan distance distribution, mini. Now I'm guessing use water level. Right, okay. And if we say 3, let's say it was set at 2, right? Let's say we set these to 5. Now, is that too big? Probably not. Probably this is going to give us a way to keep the particle count low, right? But have a practical whiteout. Five's probably too big. Say 4. That's going to be good, I think. Yeah, that's not too bad. So what I'm thinking here is we use the particle spawn count plus the size to turn it into a whiteout. Now, if I do that, it's still a bit big. It's still a tiny bit big. Right, we might, let's set it back to 2, right? And let's set this to 1. Right, how does that look? Right, how does it look? It was 1.5. So if we set it to 3, right, okay. So hang on a second. Right, if I set this back to 2000, right, we've got, this is us back to where we were. $2,000. Okay. Now, if I push these all onto the camera, does it give me that effect? Now, right, if we set it, let's have a look at that in play. It's hard to tell. Okay, so let's have a look at it if we set it back to 1.5. Now, I don't know if that's a huge difference. Anybody in the chat wants to give their feelings on it? Okay. Right, so that's an interesting one. Right, so it's winter. Okay. So I'm now thinking here that, is the wind going to be the thing? Well, I'm going to have a look at that as well. Okay, anyway, some interesting little things, but we've got it basically doing things a bit cleaner. This is coming up properly, and the clock all set, everything's set. Right, our little zombie guy moves, infected guy moves far too fast. Right. And I think we'll leave it there for the night. So if any of you guys are interested, having a chat or whatever, check the links in the description for my Discord. I'm usually in there. If you've enjoyed the stream, hit like and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central. Check the description also for links to Patreon and my previous game on Steam, which is a tower defense game. In the meantime, I hope to see you guys again. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.